All right. Hey guys, it's Heather here with Underwater Panther talking about the Scorpio or ENFP personality type. I have moved into the masculine and feminine portion of my 500-page book. I am reading along with my book in order to get the information out there. If you are interested in purchasing, you can find that in the description box below. And so let's dive right back in. I was out about an hour in my last video and decided to cap it off. So this won't hopefully get into an hour, but we'll see. All right. I'm going to make my video smaller so you can see what I am reading from. All right, good enough. All right, let's jump ahead to page 132. Okay. Is it all right? I think we're still going. All right, so my whole visual just crashed. I do apologize. All right, so we are talking about the masculine and feminine. I've already gone through disclaimers. I have already explained that in depth what they both mean individually. And so now we are moving into, we also went over the Taurus and Scorpio axis, how important that is. And so now we're getting into the death card per Hermeticism, alchemy. Death card as the initiator of the axis of the Taurus, Scorpio, masculine, feminine axis. So death represents Scorpio's sacred role, and that also goes into the 8th house, which I've already made a video in depth on the 8th house of Scorpio. So death represents Scorpio's sacred role. It is the pruning phase before Taurus can grow anything real. Death clears the emotional field. Only then can Taurus plant new roots. Scorpio's card is death, not loss, but renewal. You can also look at that as the Phoenix rising. I will go through those 5 stages in depth later. Taurus teaches us what to keep. Scorpio teaches us what to release. Death represents the pruning, the composting, the shedding, the identity shift, the psychological molting, the end of false value, and the beginning of authentic worth. This axis says you cannot attract what is meant for you until you release what is not. Death prepares the field. Taurus grows the abundance. Your integration is exact. Scorpio cuts cords, which is the death. Taurus plants seeds, which is the rebirth. You can also look at that as Taurus in spring during planting season, and Scorpio in the fall, representing harvest. Scorpio burns the illusion, shadow. Taurus builds the value, wealth. The axis is the death and rebirth cycle. Wealth and value systems. So your Venus integration. Scorpio has Venus in left field. So it is rather rough for Scorpio. Earth and Venus is rough for Scorpio to integrate, which is Taurus's strength. So here's the big takeaway. You cannot access Taurus wealth until you face Scorpio truth. You cannot stabilize until you transform. You cannot manifest until you shed the old identity. Taurus represents abundance and Scorpio represents shadow work. Together represents wealth embodiment. All right, so we have to die first to ourselves in order to be reborn. So the teaching of the death card, Scorpio's gate of transformation. So this is the alchemical process here. The death card is rarely about literal death. Instead, it reveals a deeper spiritual law. Everything that outlives its season must be harvested, released, or transmuted so that life can continue. In traditional decks, the reaping skeleton walks through a field of withering plants, not as a destroyer, but as the harvester of what cannot remain. If the fruits of summer are not gathered, they rot under winter's cold. Nothing is meant to stay forever in its old form. In this way, the death card teaches that release is nourishment. What falls away becomes compost for the future. The Sith cuts the energetic cords that binds us to the past and frees us from fears that keep us small. When the old identity is shed, like a snake releasing its skin, there's space for authenticity to emerge. The card invites us to move willingly into this transformation, not resisting the ending or clinging to old cycles that cannot grow. Death represents the moment when life asks us to clean up after the past, to clear emotional residue, outdated attachments, and stale relationship patterns. This clearing is not punishment, it is preparation. By letting go of what once defined us, we open the way for a higher version of ourselves to take shape. We turn the page energetically, stepping into a new chapter without the weight of what came before. Sometimes the death card appears when external forces shift, authority changes, old structures collapse. Systems reorganize. These transitions may not be within our control, but our response to them is. The card encourages adaptation over resistance. Much like the changing seasons, transformation is neutral. No one is to blame. The cycle itself is simply moving forward. The wisest response is to align with the new direction and upgrade our behaviors accordingly. Ultimately, the death card marks an irreversible threshold. We are being ushered into a new terrain, and the path back is gone. This is a moment that demands courage and surrender. Courage to face what must be released, and surrender to unknown that follows. On the other side of this doorway lies rebirth, renewal, and the promise of a more truthful, aligned version of ourselves. This is the essence of Scorpio's power: the courage to let go, the wisdom to harvest what has served its purpose, and the ability to walk forward unburdened into new life. This is why Scorpio rules shared resources, Taurus rules personal resources, Scorpio rules the exchange of power that feels so much like extraction. Taurus rules the storage of value. The king must purify the kingdom, the queen must tend the land, and both live inside every human mind. The ultimate integration, their royal marriage. The Taurus Scorpio union creates healthy desire, regulated nervous system, empowered boundaries, clean money consciousness, emotional depth without drowning, pleasure without self abandonment, power without domination, and stability without stagnation. This is the root of psychological sovereignty. Fall season. So Scorpio is fixated. They are in the middle of fall. The cardinal signs begin a new season. Fixated signs, fixed signs are in the middle of a season, and what is it? Mutable. Mutable signs are the transition between two seasons. So, fall season in numerology, number 13. Autumn is Scorpio's season of decay, cleansing, harvest, truth telling, endings, psychic release, and emotional composting. Numerology 1 represents identity, 3 creation, 13 the death of an identity to birth a new creation. Perfectly aligned with the Scorpio Taurus cycle. Shadow versus integrated axis. So I will be getting into the cognitive functions after this, and Scorpio women and Scorpio men individually with their masculine and feminine energy. So shadow Scorpio Taurus, fear of loss, possessiveness, control battles, emotional volatility, wealth, scarcity, comfort, addiction, sexual wounds, jealousy and stagnation, manipulation and avoidance, and clinging and withdrawing. Integrated Scorpio Taurus. Emotional depth, financial embodiment, self worth, sovereignty, embodied pleasure, power with integrity, devotion without enmeshment, sensual grounding, psychic truth, and physical stability, wealth creation, and relationship transformation. Practical integration work. All right, so Scorpio work, the king, shadow, excavation, cord cutting, rituals, death of old identity, boundary mastery, power reclamation, and trauma alchemy. Taurus work, the queen, self-worth building, money embodiment, pleasure, grounding, consistency, and routine, emotional stabilization, and sensory nourishment. Union work. Wealth rituals, vision, crafting, identity integration, transformation cycles, rebirth planning, and aligned decision making.